Can you guys hear me?
Hey, good morning, Mitchell.
Can you guys see my screen? No? Okay. You should be seeing my screen now. Can you guys see my screen now? Okay. Alright. Can you guys able to hear me properly? Okay. Alright. So let's get started today. Okay. Alright. So my voice is clear and you can see my screen. So I'll unmute. I'll now unmute you guys. Right. So I just wanted to know if you guys have already signed up for AWS account. Right. So did you guys sign up for AWS account?
Yep.
Okay. You would have got this. You would have signed up, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So let's go. So any questions from yesterday's class? If you have any questions, I can answer the questions now and then we'll start off. If anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand and probably I'll try to answer these questions. Right? So let's go. After you create your AWS account, the first thing that you have to do is you have to sign into the console. Right? So I'm going to sign into the console now. And with a new AWS account, you are going to get some resources for free, and that is called as AWS free tier. Right? So when you sign up for a new account, right? So with every new account, Amazon gives some resources for free, and they call it as AWS free tier resources. So when you type in AWS free tier in Google, you'll get the information about that. Right? So when you open this link here, right, it basically says this. If you read through this link, so it has information on what all resources that you're going to get free. Right? So from the sign up date, the next 12 months, right? From the sign up date for the next 12 months, some amount of resources are given for you for free to try AWS, right? So after 12 months, even the resources that normally you would have got in first 12 months, even they will be charged, right? Is that clear? Okay. Right, so let's go forward with, so you guys have registered for an AWS account, and if you log in, you should be able to see the screen now. Once you log in to your AWS account, you should be able to see the screen. Right, I hope you guys see the screen. Right, so once you sign up for the AWS account, right, as I said, you're going to get some free resources, right? So what all you get free, right? So what all you get free is like there are many resources here, and some of the resources here are free. How much? It depends on what type of resource you are looking at. Okay, for example, if you are looking at Amazon EC2, yesterday we were talking about virtual machines, and I explained that in AWS world, a virtual machine is equivalent to an EC2 instance, right? So you get some free EC2 instances also with a new account, with a new AWS account. So even with the free tier account, what you're going to get is some 750 hours of Linux, right? 750 hours of a Linux instance and a 750 hours of Windows instance, right? So what does the 750 hours mean? So basically what does the 750 hours mean is, if I open a calculator, right? So how many 24 hours in a day into, even if I put 31 days, so 744 hours. So what does that mean is, you can run one EC2 instance of Linux or Windows for free for full month, right? You can run a Linux server or a Windows server, no charge for first 12 months for free of cost, right? So how does this billing work is, say for example, what we are saying is 750 hours free, right? What is this free tax? Free tier says is 750 hours of free time, 750 hours of EC2 run hours. So what does that basically mean is you can run one instance for 750 hours, or you can run say 75 hours of 10 instances, or you can run say for example, you can run say I'll put it as say 100 hours of say, or else you can run 75 machines for 1 hour, right? So you can even run, say for example, you can run 750 machines for 1 hour. Even that is equivalent to 750 hours. So how you want to use it, it's up to you. Okay. So but the billing is, remember, EC2 billing is always on hourly basis. EC2 is hourly, right? So the moment you say for example, if you have started a EC2 instance, which we are going to see in some time, the moment you start your EC2 instance, the billing starts, right? Say you use 50 minutes or you use 72 minutes, for example. Even then, you will be charged for an hour, right? Say for example, if you have started an instance and you have used the instance for say for 1 hour 2 minutes or 1 hour 1 minute, even though you will be charged for 2 hours, even though you have used only 1 minute, but the billing is on hourly basis. So you use 59 minutes or 1 minute in an hour, you will be charged for one full hour, right? So if I run more and more machines, all these more and more hours will keep adding up, right? I hope you guys got this. Say if I have 10 instances, and if I run those 10 instances for one full day, that is 24 hours, right? It is simple calculation, 10 into 24. So that will be 250 hours. Sorry, 240 hours. And this way, the number of hours and number of instances will give you the total number of EC2 running hours, okay, on which you will be billed, right? Any confusion here? If you guys have any questions on this billing, this is because this is important, so I just want to make sure that you guys understand it properly. So if you have any questions, you can raise your hand now. Okay, I hope that is clear. All right, so EC2 is one of the resources in free tier. Other than this, you will get many other resources also for free. Like if you scroll through this list, there are many resources which are being offered for you for free. Like the other day we were talking about S3 storage, like an object storage. I was giving an example of Google Drive, Dropbox.com, all of these sites, right? So that is just kind of a storage. So with AWS, you're going to get 5 GB of free storage in free tier per month. Okay, after 1 year, the free tier expires. So after 1 year, you will have to pay for every gigabit of space that you're going to use in Amazon S3. But for the first 12 months after you sign up, you will get 5 GB of standard storage free, S3 storage. Right. Other than that, what else you will get is we are going to look at some of these resources, not all of them. Like DynamoDB, you're going to get 25 GB of storage space, and you can scroll through the list of all the available free tier resources here, right? So probably after we cover some of the resources here, maybe this page will make more sense to you guys. But for now, our interested thing is EC2, right? So we're going to talk about EC2. So I just want to tell you that 750 hours of an instance of running time is free for you guys. So somebody has a raised hand, so let me answer that question. Okay. Yes, Nikhil.
Hey, so I'm getting a lot of background voice during this today's session. Lot of voice of laugh, lot of voice of laughing, lot of voice of clapping and all.
There's nobody here. I don't see anyone here. Hold on.
I don't know who's.
Is it any better now?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hope it stays that way. Did anybody else also raise their hands? I can answer their questions. If you guys have any questions on EC2 charges, I can answer your questions now. Okay. All right. So let's go forward. Right. I hope the noise level stayed down because I don't have anything at my end. All right. So let's go forward with this. Right. So I hope all of you guys have created your AWS accounts, and once you create your AWS account, right, once you log into your console, let me log out, right, so I'll sign out of the console once. So if I'm when I open this, it will come here. So when I want to sign into the console, I'll just have to click here, and it will ask me for the username and the password that has been used to register for this account, right? So for this account, I have used a password. I'm going to enter that, and I'm going to log in, right? Now I'm logged in into my AWS console, right? So once I log into my console, this is what I see. This is called as normally a dashboard, AWS console or AWS Management Console, or some people call it as AWS dashboard, or any one of this, whatever you want to call it, it's up to you. But it's basically the place where you land in once you create your new AWS account. Okay. So there are a couple of interesting things in the console, right? If you guys remember, yesterday we were talking about regions, availability zones, edge locations, and all of this stuff, right? Yesterday we also talked about how many regions AWS has and all of this stuff. So if you want to say the screen here, the button here, right? It currently shows North Virginia, and if you guys remember, in US, in Virginia, there is a region. So if I want to provision a server in US, in North Virginia, I can go ahead into EC2 and I can create my service. But tomorrow, if I want to create a server in Australia, for example, in Sydney, so I have to change my region here. So this changes my region. Right now, if I click on Sydney, currently now I'm working in Sydney. Currently, I'm interfacing with my Sydney AWS resources. So whatever resources that I'm going to have, they are going to be in the Sydney data centers. So switching data centers from one part of the globe to another part of the globe is this simple. Just click on this drop down and select the region where you want to work from. Right. So if I want to come back to US, I can click this, and I'm now in North Virginia. And the default region for AWS is North Virginia. You have to remember the default region is always North Virginia. This is important because when you're going to execute commands from a command line or a SDK, right? There you have to, if I want to launch an instance from a command line, I'll have to run a command like EC2 launch or something like that. And if I don't specify a region there, I have to give a tag as region name. If I don't specify a region name, by default, the command assumes that you're trying to launch instance in US East. So this is important. You have to remember the default region for AWS is US East. All right. So this button is very important. Using this button, you can switch from one region to another region on the fly. Okay. So other than this, what else you have is you have this support box here. So whenever you need a support case, you want to open a support case, you need some support from AWS. Then you can click on this and go into the support center and log a case with AWS. Right? If you have a problem with AWS, which if one of your resources is not working as expected, then you want to talk to AWS. So you can come here, click on create case, and it will take you to a window where you can fill in your all details and submit the case, right? And if you guys have to remember, this will be your account ID. So whenever you log a case with AWS, or whenever you want to talk to AWS regarding your AWS support plans and all of this stuff, they're going to ask you this account number. So this account number is going to be unique for every AWS account that they're going to create, right? So that's with the support. And they have some forums, documentation, some training resources, and other resources you can explore yourself. There's nothing much here. Other than this, you can click on my account. My account will basically take you to the dashboard. Again, your account settings, like what is your account number, what is your uh, personal details, where are you, what are the details that you have entered while creating the account. All of this information is here. Okay. If you want to close the account, if you think you're done using AWS account and you don't want your AWS account anymore, you can close the account by simply clicking here and on close account. So you're done with your AWS account, and you can delete your account. Right. So you can set some preferences here, billing alarms and everything you can set here. So that is one. And if you want to look at your previous month bills, right? So all those bills will be here. Okay. So let's get back to this window again. Okay. So that is my account. And if you want some billing and cost management, utilities and other stuff, you can use it. So it currently shows me how much I'm using right now, how many dollars that I have to spend. As this is a new account and I haven't created any resource at this moment, so my current bill is nothing, $0, right? So if you want to change your password or anything like that, you can use the security credentials to change your password or anything like that. Right, I'm not going to do it, and you can sign out. Okay, so there is a button here. If you look at it, this button is a home button for this AWS console. Say if I'm looking at this resource like CloudTrail, I clicked on a window CloudTrail. Now I want to go back to my home page. So if I click on it, I'll go to my home page. Any place you are, you want to go back to the home page. This is the button that you have to click, right? So you're at your home page, right? Then you have your services. All of the services that are being listed here are categorized here and also listed here, right? So based on the this is all for navigation. Okay. Say for example, right? There's an edit button here, right? So say I frequently use my EC2, right? So I can have my shortcuts here. Say I use EC2, I use S3, I use Route 53, and I want to quickly navigate. I don't want to come back home and then go again into the also use DynamoDB very frequently. So if I do this, right? Say for example, I'm in something like SQS, right? Now I want to go back to my EC2. So I don't have to click on this, go to home, and again then get into EC2. All I have to do is I have to simply click on this button. It will take me to the EC2 console here, right? So this is what a bit about the interface that you're looking at. And if you look at it, and if you look through the console, there are a couple of interesting things here, right? Like there is a service health dashboard, which will basically display you the service status. Like I said, right, there are all of these services operating from multiple regions, and if you want to know if everything is fine, if you want to know the status of each service in each region, you can come here and look at the status, right? Right now, for example, in North America, right, if EC2 instances are fine, right, if EC2 service is fine, this will be service is operating normally. If it has any problem, it will display here. So this button here helps you to take you to the service health dashboard. Maybe somebody else. Avik, can you move? Avik?
Okay, but he cannot see me that video.
Okay, alright. So I muted. Okay.
Vishnu?
Yeah, that's fine. I was looking for you to mute everyone, but that's fine. I got it. Okay. So the service health dashboard will basically display you the service health status of all the regions, right? Other than that, what you have here is all the services that are offered by AWS, right? We're not going to look at all of these services, but we are going to look at some of these services which are basically important for a AWS administrator or AWS architect, right? So we're not going to look. We're not going to get into each and every service and use it, but we're going to use most of them. Okay, we're going to use most of them which are useful in our regular routine work, right? Like if you look at the classification here. It says Amazon Web Services, then it says compute, and it lists some services here. Then it says storage and content delivery and lists some services here, right? So let's quickly run through what these services mean, and then we'll get into in depth of EC2, right? So the first service that you look at is EC2. That means, as I was explaining it the other day, EC2 is nothing but your virtual machines in the cloud. If you want to create a virtual machine in the cloud, EC2 is the place. If you want a Linux machine, if you want a Windows machine, if you want a Red Hat Linux, if you want a SUSE Linux machine, right? So this is the place where you're going to create your virtual machines. And the second one in the list is EC2 container service. If you guys have ever heard about something called as Dockers, right? Which are like, again, virtual machines on top of virtual machines, right? So virtual machines are kind of a different virtual machines. You guys should already be aware of it, right? So virtual machines run on a physical machine. Normally virtual machines run on a physical machine. Again, under virtual machines, you want to create virtualized environments. Then you're going to use something called as EC2 container service or Dockers, right? And then there's another service called as Elastic Beanstalk, right? I hope you guys know that if I want to host a application which is developed in Java, right? Normally people use different kinds of service like IBM WebSphere and these servers, right? So what do? They take a application file which is in the format of a WAR file or a EAR file, and they deploy it on the application server. In a similar way, Amazon has a service for that. Okay, if you have an application ready and you just want to run that application, you can go into the Elastic Beanstalk and you can deploy your application on this Elastic Beanstalk. Then you have Lambda, okay, which is another service from Amazon, and this is related to the compute. We will not go into list of all these services, so it will not make sense. So we'll directly jump into EC2 for now. Anybody has any questions, they can raise their hands and I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay, so let's go into EC2 without wasting much time on just reading through these lines here. Probably you guys can have a look at all of these services, and if you have any questions on any of this service, probably I can give you a brief intro as to what each of these services. You can come back to me over email, or you can ask me now. Okay, for now our interest should be on EC2, so let's get into EC2, right? So when I log into my when I get into my EC2 dashboard, I see something here, right? On the left hand, you see EC2 dashboard, event stacks, reports, and all of this, instances, and all of this, right? On the right hand, you look at something called as marketplace, right? Marketplace is a place where we're going to look at it now, but I'm just giving you a brief note. Marketplace is a place where people build their applications and sell it. Like, say you guys could have used a Android phone or a iPhone, right? So you have iStore, Play Store, right? So what do you get in there? You get apps for which you will be charged. People will create applications and sell it on iStore or Play Store, right? In a similar way, if I have an application, if I have developed an application and if I want to sell that, normally what you do, you go you get a code from the company, you buy the product license, right? Instead of buying just the product, which is a software. So in marketplace, you're going to buy software plus operating system. So we're going to look at that very shortly. So that a bit about marketplace is listed here. And other than that, this section shows you the current status of EC2 in North Virginia, basically, and in all the availability zones that are there. If I click on this, again it will take you to a similar screen what we have looked at. Okay, so what we have is EC2 service running properly in all of the availability zones under North Virginia. Okay, all right, so let's go forward. So what do you want to do in EC2 instance? You want to create a server, right? So let's quickly do that and understand what are all things involved in creating a server. Okay, so let's go forward. The first thing that you want to do here is click on this. Without having EC2 instances, this window is of no use. Only if you have EC2 instances, then this will making more sense to you. Right now you see that I don't have any instances, I don't have any hard drives, I don't have any IP snapshot load balancers, I don't have anything because I haven't created anything as such. Now we are going to create our first EC2 instance. Concentrate guys, this is how you create a virtual server. It says here, to start using Amazon EC2, you will want to launch a virtual server known as Amazon EC2 instance, right? So that is what we are going to do now. For that, you have to click here. I will also give you a piece of information here. If you look at properly, your instance will launch in US East North Virginia region because over on the top of it, we have selected this, right? If I'm going to select this, say for example from Sydney, right? Or I could have selected any of the other data centers there, any of the other regions. Under here it will show you your instance will launch in Asia Pacific Sydney region, but let's stick to the default region North Virginia. So I'm going to launch the instance in North Virginia. For that, I'll have to click on this button, right? So the first thing it asks you is to select the AMI, right? Yesterday we were talking about it again, and today I'll try to explain it again, right? So AMI is nothing but a template, right? So a template. So what do we mean by template? A template is nothing but say for example, if I have a Windows operating system on a machine, right? And I want the same operating system on next say 1000 machines. I'm going to buy 1000 servers, right? I want to have same Windows operating system on those 1000 machines. So what do I have to do to have the 1000 machines with the Windows operating system? Normally you will have to go install each and every machine, but imagine how much time you spend just installing an operating system, right? And installing the operating system in 1000 machines is going to be very, very tedious, which you don't want to do actually. So what you do is you install one machine with Windows, which is your required operating system, and say for example you want to install Microsoft Office along with it. So I've installed Microsoft Office along with it, and I've installed all the required other softwares on top of one operating system. So I have one machine which is the standard, right? Which is a standard build I want across all of my 1000 machines. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build one machine, one good machine, and then I'm going to take a copy of the operating system on it, and then I'm going to copy that operating system into all of my 1000 machines, so that all of these 1000 machines will have the same operating system plus same packages. So this copying of this operating system is nothing but a template. If you guys are familiar with a VMware environment, you call it as a template. In here we call it as a AMI, right? I hope you guys got this, right? So what we do normally here is say MS. I'll take the MS Paint, right? Normally what you have is say your operating system, your hardware. On top of that, you're going to install. On top of that, you're going to install an operating system, say for example Windows, and on top of that, I'm going to install say 1, 2, 3 different applications, right? Now I have 1000 servers. I want to have the same thing in all of those machines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bundle this all of together, right? Bundle this operating system plus application into a template, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if I have another hardware, I have another piece of hardware here, or another machine, another virtual machine, or another hardware, or whatever it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this here, right? So I'm going to convert this into a template. So if this is all of it, right? Operating system plus all of the applications. So I'm going to convert this into a template. Say my template is here. Okay, so my template is here. Now I'm going to import this template onto this machine. So for that, I'll have something like this. right? So I'll install my template on this hardware. So my this machine also has the same operating system and the same applications. So what you do by this is you avoid uh, installing the applications again and again, installing the operating system again and again, and you get to a standard configuration as to what you want. Right? Is it clear, guys? I hope you guys understand what a template is. I'm trying to be as detailed as possible. Somebody has a question, so let's take that question. Rupesh. Hey, Rupesh.
So actually, I wanted to ask you that it's some like what host, right? When we are creating host, same thing we are doing.
It's like
Hello,
creating what?
ghost copy in
Yes.
Windows.
Yeah.
Right? So there is one rule that the configuration of every machine should be same.
Okay.
So
This is
same
a
in every,
right. So this is a bit of advanced of Ghost, right? Normally in
yeah,
Ghost, you'll take maybe you guys or not other guys may be aware of it or not. So Ghost is like a taking a hard disk copy image onto a
yeah,
file, and then you're going to impose the Ghost image onto other file, other hard drive, so that the
right,
both of the hard drive will have the same operating system. But the disadvantage with Ghost is the name of the, say if I have a machine name, say if this machine name is say node 1, even when you implement the template, even this machine name is going to be node 1. That is a disadvantage with the Ghost, and Ghost is a thing which of the past, right? Now it is
right,
all templates, right? So these templates have something called as they are a bit more intelligent. So with in here the name automatically changes, the IP changes, right? So
okay,
templates are better than Ghost images.
okay. So there is no need of same configuration should be there.
Same
Hardware
operating system will
configuration.
be there, same operating system will be there, but the configurable configuration will change, like the
Okay,
host name, IP address, these things will change.
okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
no problem. All right. So, all right. So this, I hope you guys what an AMI is. This is in a normal world is called as a template, and in here we call it as an AMI. Okay. So, all right. So we are going to. Think I have to mute you. Hold on. All. Okay. So now first step in launching a EC2 instance is with choosing an AMI, right? It talks about it. An AMI is a template that contains a software configuration required to, and it also says operating system, application server, applications required to launch your instance, right? Say I want a Windows operating system. I've been saying I want a Windows operating system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. If I want a Windows Server 2012 R2 base, I'll have to select this. And if you if you are looking at the list carefully, there is something called as free tier eligible, right? If for all of the free tier eligible machines, it is marked saying that it is a free tier eligible. So if I'm going to select this instance, it can be it falls into free tier. Okay. And say if I'm going to select operating system something like this, Windows Server 2012 R2 with SQL Express, right? This is not under free tier. So when you launch this operating system, you'll have to pay money for it. Be careful of that when you're launching an instance, because you guys want to be in the free tier, right? Unnecessarily you don't want to spend money. So for this course, right, for this class, probably you can do most of the stuff being in the free tier itself. Okay. So these are all the default list of AMIs supported by Amazon. Okay, these are all the default list of operating systems supported by Amazon. For example, if I'm going to select this, select say for example, I'm going to select a Windows Server 2012 R2 base, right? So it's going to have Microsoft Windows 2008 R2 SP1 Data Center Edition software on it. But right, in all of my servers that I'm going to launch like this, right, in all of my servers, I want to have Windows 2008 R2 plus Microsoft Office. I want to have of operating system plus some applications like Microsoft Office. Like I also want to have Chrome. I also want to have Firefox. Right? I want to have on every server. I want to have all of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. Right? I'm going to create a EC2 instance. Right? From that EC2 instance, once I create the EC2 instance, I'm going to install all of the required packages on top of that EC2 instance. Right? Once I know that all of my required software is there on my Windows 2008 server, then I'm going to convert that machine into template. I hope you guys are clear. I'm going to convert that EC2 instance into a template so that the next time I launch a new instance, right, I can by default have Windows 2008 plus Office, right? So if I want to have something like that, if I have a image which has been developed by me, it's going to be in my AMIs. Okay, it's going to be under my AMIs. If I develop a operating system plus a bunch of packages, or operating system plus a standard configuration, converted into a template or AMI, it's going to appear under my AMIs. We are going to do that later on, but for now, it's going to appear under my AMIs. As of now, I haven't created any AMI, so there's nothing here. Okay. Other than this, what you have something called as AWS Marketplace. Okay. So let's look at this. This is quite interesting here. So we'll quickly talk about this and then we'll move forward. Right? AWS Marketplace is a place where companies or individuals sell their application along with the EC2 instance. Say, for example, I am building a software. I am building a software which runs on Windows 2008 server, right? And to anybody, if anybody has to use my software, what they will need is a Windows 2008 server plus some other packages. After that, they can install my application to run my software. But installation of my software is very complex. For example, it needs some 100 steps to be done for installing my application. So if I'm going to give this to anybody, probably with the installation being so tough, people may find it very difficult to use my software, right? So in that case, what you can do is, if you're going to use AWS platform, you can combine the basic Amazon EC2 instance plus your software, right? Your AWS EC2 instance plus on top of that software, and you can sell that software here, right? If you look at this marketplace, there are many softwares. There are many softwares here. Like say, if I type in, for example, if I type in Oracle, right? If I type in Oracle 11G, you guys know, right? Oracle 11G is a database software from Oracle Enterprises, right? So they have a machine in, they have an AMI in marketplace. So if I'm going to select this, right? If I'm going to select this, right? If I'm going to select this, what's going to happen is, if I say continue, right? I'm going to get a Amazon EC2 instance plus Oracle 11G standard edition software installed in it. So as soon as I have my machine ready, it will have Amazon Linux plus it says the base operating system is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So if I'm going to select this, what I'm going to get is a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 6.5 plus Oracle Database 11G, right? I hope you guys are getting what I'm trying to explain here. You're going to get a base software, a base operating system plus the software that is being displayed here, right? Say tomorrow, if you want some software like a checkpoint or any other software that is being displayed here, if I click on AWS Marketplace, I come here and say maybe this, I want to install SAP HANA, okay, SAP HANA 1, and if SAP HANA 1 installation is very complex, or SAP HANA 1 I want to test it only for say 2 days, okay, I want to test SAP HANA for only for 2 days. But in a normal world, what you'll have to do, you'll have to buy HANA software completely, right? Instead of that, if you go with a model like this, so you can pay for your software for an hourly basis also, right? I just want to test SAP HANA for say 6 hours only. I have some small application that has to be run SAP HANA, right? And I want to test that only for 6 hours. So if I'm going to select this, right, I'll have to pay some money to SAP, right? Obviously this software is from SAP. Okay, this software is being sold by SAP. So I'll have to pay as long as I run this software. I don't have to buy this software. Say for example, you want to quickly do a presentation. You have to quickly say tomorrow present something in the office, right? You have to quickly do a PPT file, a presentation. So if you want to genuinely use the software, what you have to do is you have to buy Microsoft Office, right? You have to buy Microsoft Office, install on your laptop, then you have to use it. But you need say Microsoft Office only for 4 hours. You don't need it for very long. You just need it for 4 hours. But even then, you would have to buy Microsoft Office, and you have to live with that forever, right? I'm not going to use from day after tomorrow. I'm just going to use only for tomorrow, only for 4 hours. That is good enough. But I'll have to buy a product. Here, what you're doing is buying the software as a service. So this is nothing but software as a service model. If you guys can connect the dots here, this is nothing but software as a service. Now what you're doing is you are using the software as a service rather than product. Okay, so there are many other kinds of softwares here. So based on your requirement, you can choose from here. So this marketplace will help you do that. Okay, other than this, you have something called as community MIs. These are the templates which have been developed by people, and they will have done some customization on it, and they are not charging anything. These are some free customized AMIs, right? So if you think that you need one of these, you can go ahead and get this. Okay, all right. So let's get back to our interest, which is this one, right? So for example, we have decided to go with a Windows Server 2008 R2 base. Right? We are going to launch an instance of Windows Server 2008. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to select it. I've decided to install this. Okay. So I'm going to select it. Then, in the very next screen, it asks you about instance type. Choose an instance type. If you guys can see this, it says choose an instance type. All the while I've been saying I need a server, I need a server. But what is the configuration you need? I need a Windows Server 2008, that's fine. But what should be the underlying hardware? Whether you want 1 processor, 2 processors, 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, or 100 GB RAM, depending on your application that you're going to run on the this Windows 2008 R2 operating system, you will need some hardware, right? So this is the place where you're going to select what type of hardware you will need, right? So this is what is called as instance types. If I open this AWS instance types, right? So if I can see this page, there are different kinds of instances. If you look at this, it says T2.micro, T2.small, then the list goes on, T2.medium, T2.large, M4. If you guys can see the screen, all of this is being listed here. M4, M3.large, right? M3.2x large, C4.large, so on and so forth. T8 machines, R machines, and so on and so forth, right? So we are seeing a big list of machines here, right? So with each of the machine, what's going to happen is, say with a T2.micro, what I'm going to get is 1 CPU and 1 GB memory, right? If I, for example, if I go for a T2.large machine, I'm going to get 2 CPUs and 8 GB of memory, right? So based on the configuration you need, you have to select the instance. Say I'm going to run an application which is very big and it needs 40 CPUs and 160 GB memory, right? I can select this. Okay, here what I'm going to get is a machine with 40 CPUs and 160 gigs of memory, right? So all of these instance types are listed in this page. Go through this page. This page is also very interesting. Go through this page, right? And if you look at this screen, you look at T2, M4, C, R, something like this, R, G, D, right? These letters have a significance. Whenever I'm looking at T2.micro, generally it is called as a general purpose machine, right? T2.micro, T2.medium, T2.small, these are all called as general purpose machines. Means when you want to run a small application, then you can go for a general purpose instance. Then you also have M4 instances, which are also general purpose instance. Even these are normally used for a small size of application. It says T2, and there is a brief description of what T2 does, and there is also a use case when you should use T2 instances, and it also has a list of, based on the size of the instance, what is the hardware you are going to get. It's all listed here. Okay. All right. So let's go forward. And M4 has these machines, right? M4.large, M4.xlarge, and all of these machines. So what you're going to get here is listed here. Okay. And if you look at M4, M3, so this is the family of the instance, general purpose. You're going to look at this, and this is the generation. M4 generation is a new kind of M instances. There is also M3 instances, right? Other than these general purpose instances, you have instances like compute optimized, memory optimized. So when you should use these instances is, say if you have an application which is very compute intensive. So what do we mean by compute intensive is, say if I have a machine, if I have an application which needs more CPU cycles. It doesn't need more memory, but it needs more CPU cycles. Say for example, if you have a mathematical calculation application, right? Say if you have something like a chess simulator game, right? What does that need is more and more calculations per minute. Then you go for something like called as a compute optimized instance. When you need more compute power, you go for a compute optimized instance. When you need more memory, you go for memory optimized instance. See, in a memory optimized instances, you're going to get up to 244 gigs of memory. Okay. When you need GPU instances, GPU are graphical processing units. When you want to do CAD CAM applications, or when you want to do, say, multimedia applications, right? For all of these purposes, you can use something called as G2 applications. Okay, G2 instances, and then you have storage optimized instances. These are specifically used when you need more storage, when you need faster storage, when you need more storage. These kinds of instances are used. Okay. All right. Anybody has any questions? Okay, let's go forward. That's good. Right. All right. So what we are looking at here is the size of instances, right? The type of instances. But if I'm going to go with a T2.small, how much will I have to pay? Right? The amount of money that you're going to pay depends on the size of the instance also, right? I'm going to get an instance for free, but that is only T2.micro. With a T2.micro, what I'm going to get is 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. But my application needs at least 2 CPUs and 8 GB RAM. Then I cannot go with a T2.micro. Then I'll have to go with a T2.large. Right? Then I have to go with a T2.large machine. But how much will it cost me? Right? So here comes costing of EC2 instances. Right? So let's look at pricing mechanisms. So as I was telling it, you get some 750 hours of free EC2 instance, right? But 750 hours of EC2 instance is only for T2.micro instance. Only this class of machine, one machine you're going to get free for month. You're not going to get any of this machine free, right? You're going to get only T2.micro instance. This is very important. You're going to get only T2.micro instance for free, right? So let's go forward. You look at this, right? On-demand instance. And you look at that, there is something called as on-demand instance, reserved instance. So let's talk about it. There are basically three types of pricing. Three types of pricing are available, right? Three types of pricing are available. One is on-demand instance. Two, reserved instance, right? Reserved instance. Three, spot instance. Okay. All right. So let's try to understand these three different things, right? So maybe have you guys used taxi service? So I'll take an example of taxi service for explaining this, right? So you need a taxi. So you need a taxi from go to one place to another, right? And the distance is say 10 kilometers, for example. Okay. So whenever you need a taxi, you get a taxi, use the taxi, pay for it, right? Only pay for those 10 kilometers, right? So every day you need a taxi, you call a taxi, you commute your distance and you pay for it, right? Only as long as you are using it, you are paying for it. So there are no commitments or anything. Only when you need it, you use it, you pay for it. That is nothing but on demand. So I need a EC2 instance for next 2 hours. So I'm going to create a EC2 instance now. I'm going to use that instance for next 2 hours and I'm going to pay for that. Okay. This is nothing but on demand instance, right? On demand instance pricing. If you look at this, how the pricing is, you'll be able to see here, right? So on demand instance price. Let's look at on demand instance prices first. So if you look at it, for example, IM4.large, right? So what you're going to get is 2 CPUs and 8 GB memory, right? So how much this cost is? $0.126. So that is approximately 12 cents per hour, right? But the price of the instance changes with the location. Let's take an example of only this for now, right? Let's take an example of only this for now, because it will be very difficult for me to show all of them. So I'll take one example and I'll try to explain what I'm telling you guys, right? So M4.X large machine is going to cost me some 25 cents per hour in Northern Virginia, right? If I'm going to change my region, I just want to see how much this M4.X large is going to cost in California, right? The same M4.X large machine in California is going to cost me 29 cents, right? It's going to cost me 0.29 something, right? 294 per hour. Why is the difference? Same EC2 instance, same size, right? Same EC2 instance, same size. Just change of a region is costing you so much. Why? Why is the difference? Because maybe see, you guys know, right? Say for example, if I compare a city, if I need to take a home, right? If I want to take a home, I can take a home in, say for example, in a small city, right? A small city versus Mumbai. I want a 2 BHK home in a small city, any city that you want to name it, right? It's going to be say 15,000 per month rent. But if I want the same 2 BHK house in Mumbai, it's going to be 25,000, 30,000 per month, right? So in the same way, the real estate price changes from one region to another region. In North Virginia, the real estate price is less. So that's the reason for the data center, they're going to pay less. But if the same data center is going to be in California, it's going to be expensive. Like it's like Mumbai. Mumbai is expensive. Even California is expensive. So the price has gone up, right? And this is for something called as Amazon Linux. If I'm going to run Windows with SQL standard on the same M4 large instance, M4.x large instance, let's see how much it costs. Right? M4.x large is going to cost me $1.16. Why? Because obviously Amazon has to pay for Windows license as well as for SQL Server license. Who is going to pay for it? Amazon is going to pay it. So ultimately is going to pay it is whoever is going to use that machine. Right? So the price changes with the size of the instance, with the location of the instance, and the type of AMI that you're going to choose, right? And with the type of AMI that you're going to choose to run on that machine. Okay. I hope this is clear. And this is all for on-demand instance pricing, right? So on-demand instance pricing is as long as you need it, you're going to use it, and as much as you use it, you pay for it. That is on-demand instance pricing. Okay. So next, let's look at the second pricing mechanism, that is called as reserved instance pricing. In reserved instance pricing, what's going to happen is you're going to enter into some long-term commitments. Okay. Say for example, we'll continue with the same taxi example, right? Daily you're traveling. Every day you are traveling from one place to another place, and every day say you are paying for 10 kilometers, you're paying 100 rupees. Okay, so I'm doing this daily. I know that I'm going to do this daily for next 1 year. Okay, say if I'm going to call up the taxi operator and say that I'm going to do this for next full 1 year. Every day I need taxi for this 10 kilometers, and if I'm going to talk to him, obviously I'll get some discount. When you do it on demand, it's going to probably going to charge you 100 rupees. Every day you take a taxi for 10 kilometers, he's going to charge you 100 rupees. But if you give a commitment that you're going to use his service for next 1 year, he will offer you discounts, right? He will offer you some discounts. So probably instead of 100 rupees, he may charge you only 80 rupees every day, because you're going to use his service for next full year. You are giving a commitment to him, right? In a similar way, the reserved instances are nothing but the instances where you give commitment to AWS, saying that I'm going to use your instances for a period of time. That period of time is generally 1 year or 3 years. So in reserved instances, what's going to happen is you're going to enter into contracts with Amazon, saying that you're going to use a instance for either 1 year term or a 3 year term. The same, we will continue with the same M4.4x large, right? M4.x large instance. M4.x large or M4, one of these machines, right? So if I'm going to use one of these machines, I think I'm still in California. I'll switch over to North Virginia, and then we'll continue to talk about the pricing. Now my pricing is, now this pricing list is for North Virginia, right? So we have taken an example of M4.x large, right? So we'll continue talking about that. An M4.x large for an on-demand instance, it's going to cost me 25 cents, right? $0.25, right? 25 cents. So if I'm going to say to Amazon that I'm going to use your EC2 instance, M4.x large instance, for next 1 year, right? For next full 1 year, I'm going to use the instance. If I'm going to enter into a agreement or commitment with Amazon for doing this, Amazon will give me some discounts, right? So what discount you're going to get is depends on how do you want to pay for it. Whether you want to pay all the amount upfront. Same like taxi example, right? Say I'm going to use the taxi for next 100 days. So every day I'm going to pay 100 rupees. So that will be approximately 100 into 100, which is nothing but some 10,000 rupees. But if I'm going to say that I'm going to use your taxi service for next 100 days, and I want to pay everything in upfront, I want to pay everything upfront. So probably I'm going to get the taxi service for 6,000 rupees for the next 100 days, right? Instead of this, if I'm going to do partial upfront, right? So probably I'll say I'll pay you half of the total amount first, and then every month if I'm going to if I pay you, how much you're going to charge. If I'm going to ask that, then the discounts will vary on the payment terms, right? So when you compare it with the on-demand instance, right? So if I'm ready to enter, if I'm sure that my business is going to run for next 1 year, and I'm going to go for the reserved instance, right? If I'm going to go for all upfront payment, I'm going to get a discount of 42% when I compare it with the on-demand instance. Getting this, guys? And when I get into a 3-year term, my discount is almost at 63%. Okay, my discounts can go all the way up to 75% also sometimes. Okay, so because you get benefited from it, and even Amazon gets benefited from it, because they know in the next they can project, right? Even they can project as to how much the customers are going to use their instances for next 1 year and 3 years. So even they will be able to plan ahead, right? So even they have some guaranteed business that is going to come in for next 1 or 2 years, so they will give you more discounts. Make sense, guys? Anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand. We'll be answering the questions. Okay, so let's go forward. So the pricing, right now what we have looked at is 2 kinds of pricing models. There is one more called as spot instance pricing. We'll look at that in some time. But remember, never go for reserved instance pricing when you're not sure as to how long you're going to use your EC2 instance. Say if I'm a new business, right? I'm a brand new business. I'm trying to enter into the market now. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be in this market. I'm a new business, right? So I don't know how if my business is going to be a success, I'm going to be there for next 2 years. If my business is going to fail, I might have to wrap up everything in say 3 months itself, right? In that case, if I go for a 3-year term contract, right? And if I go for say all upfront payment in a 3-year term contract, I'll be ending up paying all of this amount. And in 3 months, if I'm going to get out of my business, I'm not going to get any refunds from Amazon. So only when you know that you're going to be in the business for a long time, right? Only when you know that you have some time horizon, then get into contracts or reserved instances. If you're not sure about how long you're going to use an instance, don't get into contracts or reserved instances. Is that clear, guys? Okay, I hope it's clear. So let's go forward with that. All right, so let's look at it. So we have discussed these 2 pricing models, right? On-demand instance we looked at, and reserved instance we looked at. Then in some time we're going to talk also about spot instances, right? So we know which instance to use, which instance type to use. We want to be in the free tier for now because we don't need any big machines for now. Small machines will do for us for now. So I'm going to go with a small machine of a T2.micro instance, right? If I want to go for a bigger instance, I can definitely go for a bigger instance here, which I don't want to do it now. So I'm going to click on this next configure instance details. There is some configuration information which we are going to come back to it and discuss each and every step here in some time, right? Each and every field here in some time. But for now, let's launch the instance and let's connect to that instance. Okay. extract storage. This is where we are going to define how much storage we want. You're going to launch a EC2 instance, that's fine, but how much hard disk size you want? You're going to launch a Windows 2008 server, Windows 2008 server, but how much hard disk you want? That you're going to define here. By default, for Windows instances, it will be 30 gigs. Let's go with that. You don't need any more space than that. So let's click on review and launch, or you can go with you can keep following the screens, right? You can click next, tag instances. You're going to come to all of these things again later on, but first we'll launch an instance and then we'll try to connect the instance, right? The last screen is review and launch. Okay, now it gives me details about what all I'm going to do. I'm going to launch a Windows 2008 instance on a t2.micro, right? On a t2.micro. So if I click launch, right? If I click launch, it's going to ask you a question about the key pair, right? I hope you guys know what a key pair is. Say for example, if you open hdfcbank.com, for example, if I open hdfcbank.com, hdfcbank.com, right? If I click on this login button here, and if I click on this, right? Do you see a lock symbol here? You see a lock symbol here, right? So what does this lock symbol mean is, right? What does this lock symbol mean is, for every secured site, I'm just trying to explain how an HTTPS works, right? So for every secured site, there will be a key pair. One will be a public key, another one will be a private key. So the data that is encrypted with the public key, right? So when I open hdfcbank.com, right, when I try to log into my hdfcbank.com, I'm going to get something called as a public key. Using that, what's going to happen once I get the public key is, so all the details, say if I enter my username, password, right? Obviously to log into my bank, I have to enter my account ID or user ID or whatever it is, and a password along with it, right? So what's going to happen is, so all the data that you enter before that data being transmitted to AWS, before that data being sent to the bank server, this data will be encrypted using the public key, right? So once this data is encrypted using the public key, if somebody wants to read those encrypted packets, they will not be able to read it. The only way someone can read those packets is through the private key, okay? And that private key is going to be with bank. It is like, say I want to send a parcel to you, right? I want to send a parcel to you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a box, right? I'm going to take a box and I'm going to put whatever I want to give it to you in that box, and I'm going to close the box and lock it, right? I lock the box with a key, and now you have the key. I have one key, you have one key, right? The box can be opened only by you because you have the key. If somebody else wants to open the box, they will not be able to do it because they don't have the key, right? So all the data transmission will be encrypted. This is for a normal HTTPS site. But for here, hold on, somebody has a question. Let me take that question. Yeah, Nikhil.
Actually, I'm facing a network issue. Okay, so I'm getting this case very late to me.
Your voice is low. Your voice is very low.
Just a second. Now it's fine with you?
Sorry?
Now it's fine with you, my voice?
Your voice is kind of breaking, but you can ask.
Actually, I'm saying that my network, I think I'm having problem with my network, so that I'm getting a very late to me. Okay. And the second thing is that I want to ask is that while choosing the instance, okay.
I'm not able to. I don't think anybody is able to hear your question.
Okay, so I take later with you. No problem. Okay.
Okay, probably you can type your question here. I can answer
Okay.
it if you want to type it.
Okay.
You want to type it now?
Yeah, I'm typing it.
Okay. Let's take the question and then we'll go forward. Nikhil, I'm waiting.
I have already typed.
I don't know whom you have sent. Probably you have sent it to Collabra or someone. I did not
No,
get the
no,
question.
no, I have sent it over the, so I think I need to reconnect the session. Okay.
So
So I'm
probably,
putting the,
okay, you take it down. Probably I'll try to answer your question at the end of the session, right?
no problem, no problem.
Okay.
You carry on with the session. Okay. No
Okay. Yeah. Okay. As I explained, it all the data will be encrypted and decrypted, right? All the data will be encrypted at one end and all the data will be decrypted at the other end using this combination of public and private key pairs, right? So with our AWS instances, what's going to happen is when I launch an instance, when I create a new instance, and when I want to log into that instance, right? It's going the last step in launching of this instance is you have to select a key pair, right? You have to select a key pair. With this key pair, what's going to happen is it talks about it. It says a key pair consists of public key that AWS stores and a private key that you store. So what I'm going to do is, if I don't have any key pairs, this is a brand new account, right? So I have to create a new key pair. Say if I'm going to give a key pair name, right? If I'm going to give a key pair name, and if I'm going to click on download key pair, it's going to download a key pair. I think I already have something like that, so let me give something else like Collabora. Okay, if I'm going to click on download key pair, okay, so what's going to happen is I'm going to get a private key. So this is the private key, and the public key will be stored in the EC2 instance, right? The public key will be stored in EC2 instance. So to log into my instance, I will need the private key, right? So you're going to generate a key. The key file is downloaded here, and now I'm going to click on launch instance, right? I'm going to click on launch instance, and it says the instance is being launched and all of this information here. Now if I go back to my EC2 console by clicking here, if I look at this, it says pending initializing, right? All of this information is being displayed here. So what am I doing now is I'm launching a instance, right? So the current status of the instance is pending. What does that mean? Is it is creating the instance. It is creating a Windows 2008 server. So after this instance is launched, we'll try to connect to it. But before that, let's look at some details here. Right? It has some description section here, which it talks about some information here. It talks about like what is the instance ID. Instance ID is a unique ID given by AWS to your machine. So every instance that is going to be launched in this AWS environment is going to have a unique ID by instance ID, right? The current state of the instance is running, right? The current state of the instance is running because our instance is running now. So the current state of the instance is running. Then the type of the instance that I've chosen is a T2 root micro, right? So this has 1 GB and 1 CPU. Later on, if I need say more CPUs and more RAM, I can change this. We'll see how to do that in some time, but I can change this, right? And it has a so every instance that you're going to launch can have two types of IP addresses, right? One is called as a public IP, another one is called as a private IP. If you guys don't understand this, just read it. Just read it on internet as to what is a public IP is and what is a private IP is, right? Public IPs are generally the IPs which work over the internet, right? Private IPs are the IPs which are internal to your intranet. Okay, so look, probably you can read more about it. Public IPs and private IPs. I'll leave that to you, right? Then it talks about which VPC, which subnet. Will talk about this. Then it also talks about how many network interfaces you have. Right now, I just have one network interface, and it also talks about how many hard drives I have. I have one hard drive here, and the public IP address here, and which availabilities on this instance was launched in. This can be configured. We'll see when we are going to launch the next instance. We'll see how to configure this, right? Then it has some information as to what is the type of AMA that you have chosen, what is the type of operating system. Currently it is running Windows, and what is the key pair, and who is the owner. Owner is always the account number, right? This is my account number, and when was it launched, and some more details here, right? Now I want to log into this instance. For that, I have to do is I have to click on connect here, right? It's going to show you how to log into your instance, right? So to log into your instance, you need a password, right? To get that password, all you have to do is you have to click on this get password, and it has downloaded this. We have downloaded this key pair file, and it says the following key pair was associated with the instance when it was created. In order to retrieve your password, you will need to specify the path of this key pair on your local machine. So I will have to have this file to get my root password. So I'll have to click on choose files, and then I'll have to go to my download section. Then probably here I'll have click on open. Then I'll have to click on open, right? Then I'll have to click on decrypt password, right? So what it has done is it has decrypted the root password using this public and private key pair. Okay, now if I click on this download remote desktop file, I'm going to get this file, or else you don't need to even use that, but for now we'll use this. We'll just click on this, right? I'm trying to remotely connect to my machine, right? Now I'm trying to remotely connect to my machine using this password. Okay, I'm going to do this. Now currently I'm in my Windows Server 2008 R2 Data Center Edition, which we launched from our console, right? So we can create a machine within seconds. That's how easy it is, right? Now we have our Windows 2008 machine, right? If I look at my task manager, basically this will show me how many processors I have and how much memory I have, right? Currently it says me that I have 1 GB memory and 1 processor. This is what we wanted, right? This is what we wanted. So this is how it is. Okay, so now we launched a Windows instance, and we were able to successfully connect to it. Correct? Any questions here? Okay, all right. So let's go launch another instance for Linux, and now we will try to understand each and every step. Okay, click on launch instance. Right, this step should be very clear by now. Basically, in this step, we are going to choose the operating system that we are going to run on the server that we are going to launch. Right? What do you want? Which operating system you want? There is a Amazon Linux operating system, right, which runs only on EC2 instance, like your Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Linux. there is also something called as Amazon Linux, which can run on only on EC2 machines. Right? If I'm going to choose this, right? If I'm going to choose this, what I'm going to get is Amazon Linux, right? Plus, it will also include AWS command line tools. It will also include Python, Ruby, Perl, Java. So all of these softwares have been baked into this Linux, right? So if I'm going to select this, the next screen it gives you is what type of machine you want to run on. The same thing. How many CPUs, how much memory you want is up to you. You can choose whatever you want. For now, I'm going to go with a T2.micro instance. So I'm going to select this. Now, in the third screen, it's going to ask you how many instances you want to launch. Okay, so I need 100 machines. I need 100 Amazon Linux machines. I don't have to run this menu 100 times. I can simply give a number here, 100. Right? If I'm going to launch the go next screen, by the end of the screen, I'm going to get 100 instances. But for now, you can choose 1 or 2, whatever you want, whatever makes sense to you. You can do that. Okay. And let's look at the third pricing option. It says request spot instance, right? Let's look at the third pricing option. I explained these two pricing mechanisms, right? Then Amazon has something called as spot instances. Okay. If possible, guys, read this. Watch this video. AWS spot instances. If you open the screen, you open this. Right, there is a small video on what spot instances is. Right, if you can get to this page, listen to this video after the class. I'll try to explain it, but if you need more information, listen to this video. Okay, so let's try and understand what is the spot instances. Right, so so far we have looked at on-demand instance as well as reserved instances, right? Now there is another type of pricing mechanism called as spot instances. So what's going to happen in spot instances is, say, for example, let's take an example of m4.xlarge again, right? m4.xlarge, right? m4.xlarge. It's going to have, say, for example, let's put it at two CPUs and 8 GB memory, right? So Amazon has a capacity. Amazon has total capacity to run 1,000 of this m4.xlarge machines. Amazon can run in one region a total capacity of, I'm just giving an example, right? For example, if AWS has 1,000 of capacity to run m4.xlarge machines, but currently the AWS consumers are using only, say for example, only 800 machines, 800 m4.xlarge machines. Currently they are consuming only this. So there are 200 m4.xlarge machines which are idle, right? Which are not doing anything. So Amazon has a spare capacity of 200 m4.xlarge machines which are doing nothing. Nobody is using it. So what Amazon is going to do is they're going to put an auction for this m4.xlarge machines, right? So these 200 machines are available for spot instance pricing. So what does that mean is these 200 machines are for auction. So normally we have looked at it, m4.xlarge machines normally cost you 25 cents, right? But what Amazon is going to do says I can give these machines for say for 2 cents, right? And instead of 25 cents, you can spend 2 cents and you can get these machines. So suddenly I come in and I take this machines at 0.2 cents, right? Now, if another customer comes in and if he says I'm ready to I'm ready to pay. I'm ready to pay 3 cents instead of 2 cents. I'm ready to pay 3 cents. Then what Amazon is going to do is Amazon is going to take these machines from me and give it to him. So whoever is bidding more for these machines, they are going to get. So spot instances like bidding. So the more you bid, the more you get, right? So if you want to understand spot instances, I'll highly recommend you to read this site and watch this video, and we'll also try to look at from here, right? If I go back to my EC2 console, right, there is something called as spot request here. So till now what we have been doing is, what we have done is we have launched an on-demand instance, right? For example, if we need a reserved instance, so all I can do is I can come here, click on this reserved instance, click on this purchase reserved instance. Now I'll have to say what type of operating system I am going to run and what type of instance. Say for example, m4.x large, right? And in which availability zone, right? And how long I want this. So if I'm going to say this 13 to 36 months, and if I'm going to do all upfront or no upfront is up to you. So if I'm going to do a partial upfront, and if I'm going to do this, Amazon has found something for me, right? And it is at 5 cents, right? If I'm going to do add cart, and if I'm going to check out, I'm going to buy a reserved instance, right? I'm going to get a reserved instance. Other than this, you have spot pricing, right? So you can buy spot instances from here as well. So how we are going to do it is, we are going to click on request spot instance, right? Now we'll have to choose almost the same screens here. You'll have to choose which type, right? And now I want to. These small instances are not available for spot. Amazon doesn't have any free capacity for these type of instances. They only have spot instance for these kind of instances, M4 instances. So I'm going to choose that. Next, configure instance details. In this section, I'll have to specify my price, right? I want a spot instance, right? In the current price of this spot instance is some 28 cents. See, I said it is how much it is, and in one of this availability region it's 2 cents, 2.8 cents. In another region it's 2.7 cents. Like this, price varies from one availability zone to other availability zone. Now the least price is some 2.7 cents, right? So for example, if I am going to go bid something like this, I am ready to spend 0.31 cents per hour, right? If I'm saying I'm ready to give this much, right? And I have to say from when to when my bid is active, how long my bid is going to be active. If I need a spot instance from now, anywhere from now to tomorrow, and if this is the price, if I'm going to say put something like this, the current price is, the least price is 27.27 cents, right? If the price is going to fall to your price, you're going to get instance. Otherwise, you're not going to get instance. So you'll have to say your price, and if you're at your price, if there are any instances, you're going to get it. Okay. So I'm going to say this request is valid for this much time, and you click next. As soon as the current price is this much, as soon as the current price falls down to this price, you're going to get an instance, right? So this is how you're going to launch a spot instance. Let's go back to on-demand instance because we are interested in that for now. Click on launch instance. We are going to select our instance, Amazon Linux for now. Then we are going to select our t2.micro instance. We are not going with spot, so we will not go with this. I want to launch, say for example, 2 instances at a time. So I'm going to select 2 there, right? Then it asks you for a network. If you guys remember, yesterday I said each region, if this is a region, is going to consist of at least two availability zones, right? As we are currently in US East, right? It has 4 availability zones, right? So it has 4 availability zones. So what I can do is I can choose my server to run from any one of the availability zone. Okay, these are my 4 availability zones under this region, right? So if I have one region, and if these are my 4 availability zones under this region, okay, so this region, if I want to choose this, first I will have to create something called as a VPC. For now we'll take that as a region, right? So this is my region. So this represents the complete, this VPC represents the network, right? So this represents the complete region. Under this region, I want to launch my instance in US East 1A or 1B or 1C or 1E, whatever it is. So based on your preference, okay, say if I have all of my web servers in one region, I probably also want to have my application servers also in the same region. So depending on what you want to do, depending on where you want to run, you can choose it here. Okay, say for example, I am planning to have a high availability web service. So if this is my load balancer, and if I'm going to have say 2 instances behind my load balancer, right? Yesterday we talked about it. I'm explaining this again to you guys. So if I want to have 2 instances, 2 web servers behind my load balancer, so the ideal case will always be to have these 2 instances in 2 different, say for example, I should have this instance in this region and this instance in another availability zone, right? So if I have these 2 instances in 2 different availability zones, I will get something called as high availability, because I have these 2 machines in 2 different data centers. So if something wrong happens in one data center also, my web server is still not down. It is still running. From at least from one server, my web service will still be running. So you should always choose. You should always know where to launch your server in. For now, we don't have any preference. We can launch our instance in any availability zone. So we are not going to choose. But if you know into which availability zone you want to launch, you have to select this. Okay. Then we are launching a instance and we want to connect to our instance over internet, right? If you want to connect your instance over internet, you need something called as a public IP address, right? To connect your instance over internet, you need public IP address. So if you want a public IP address, go with enable. So as soon as you launch an instance, your instance is going to have a public IP address, which you can use to connect. Okay. Then the next thing is IAM role. We are going to talk about this later on. We are not going to talk about it now. We are going to talk about IAM role later. Then you will have something called a shutdown behavior, right? So I have launched this instance. If I can show you my EC2 console, right? I have this one running instance, right? So already this instance is running. Already this instance is running for me. Already I have this instance running. Now if I want to shut it down, I can simply go into actions, go into instance state, or I can click on this, right? I can right click on this, I can go into instance state and I can click on stop. So what will this do is, it will shut down the machine, right? So when I shut down a machine, let's wait for it. It is stopping. It's stopping. Now it is in stop state. So I have a machine in a stop state, right? When I shut down the machine, it went into a stop state. But if I want the machine to be deleted whenever I stop a machine, the machine should be terminated. Whenever I shut down my machine, if I want the machine to be terminated, I'm going to select this. Okay, I'm going to select this. Then after I launch the instance, if I click on stop, it's automatically going to delete, terminate. Okay, then you have a button for enable termination protection. Let's look at this. I have this instance here, right? If I go into instance state, terminate, I have this button active, right? Now if I'm going to click on this button, the instance that I launched is gone, is deleted forever. Now if I had any data on that machine, that is gone, right? So if I'm going to check this box, right, what's going to happen is, if I decide to terminate also, this button will be inactive, which can help you protect against accidental termination of an instance. This is like a double check, right? Even if you want to delete a machine, you'll not be able to delete it easily. There'll be a double check, right? Let's look at that. If you want to have something like that, check this box. Okay, and the next one is monitoring. Yesterday I was talking to you guys and said all the resources that you're going to launch are going to be monitored, something called as a CloudWatch service, right? If I look at my AWS dashboard, right, this is my AWS dashboard. There is something called as CloudWatch here. Okay, this will help you monitor all of the other resources here. Okay, so after I launch my instance, right, my instance will be monitored by CloudWatch, but your instance will be monitored every 5 minutes. The monitoring frequency is every 5 minutes, but a 5-minute monitoring frequency is not good enough for me, right? I want monitoring for every 1 minute. Then I'll have to click this. So what this is going to do is, your CloudWatch is going to monitor your instance for every minute. But if you do this, additional charges will apply. Okay, if you are ready to spend more money, and if you have a critical application running on the server, obviously 5-minute interval is not good enough, right? Then you will need more monitoring frequency. Then you'll go for this. Then you will pay more. That's it. But for now, you're not going to go with this. A 5-minute monitoring interval is good enough for me because it's a test machine. A 5-minute monitoring interval is good enough for me, so I'm not going to check this box, right? Then share tenancy, right? So as I have been saying this, these are virtual machines, right? All the machines that we are launching are the virtual machines. So with these virtual machines, what can happen is, say if I am one company and if you are another company, and if we both are going to go for two instances, okay, we both are going for 2 different instances. So what's going to happen is, maybe there could be a case that both of our EC2 instances can be running on same physical machine, right? Your machine and my machine can be running on the same physical machine, but I am worried about that, right? I don't want my virtual machine to be running on a shared platform. I want to run my virtual machine also on a dedicated platform, dedicated only for me. I don't want anybody else's virtual machines to be running on a same hardware. Then I'll go for something called as dedicated tenancy here. But if you go for dedicated tenancy, obviously the charges will be on a higher side. But for now, we'll go with shared tenancy, right? Because we are not concerned about machine level isolation. So we'll go with shared tenancy. We'll click on next, add storage. For now, we'll go with 8 GB storage, and we'll talk about these things later, right? We'll go with an 8 GB storage. Next, click on tag instance. So I'm launching the instance. Fine, I'm launching an instance. That's fine. So if I look at this, I had a Windows instance, right? I had a Windows instance, but there is no name on it. It simply has a instance ID. But what sense does it make? What is the purpose of this Windows machine? Whether it's a Windows server or which application server or a database server, which team is using it, where is this machine? There are no details like that, right? So one machine you probably will be able to identify what the machine purpose is. But say if you have hundreds of machines like this, then it gets very difficult for you to identify. Then these tags will help you. Tags are like stickers, right? So you have a server, you stick on it saying that this machine is for web server, this machine name is this machine is for this team, this machine is in cloud. You can have whatever makes sense to you. Say I'm going to say what I'm going to launch is a web server 1, right? Like this I can have up to 10 tags. Team, say development team, okay? Something like say criticality, what criticality this server is, crit 4, say location. Like this I can have up to 10 tags, so that I'll be identify what this machine is going to do, right? So I'll say cloud, something like this, whatever makes sense to you guys, right? In this way I can have up to 10 tags for each instance. We will talk about security groups later, but not now, right? So we will leave this section. We'll go forward. Right, again you are back at the review screen. Now I'm going to click on launch instance. Click on launch. Now it's going to ask you to select the key pair, right? Already we have created a key pair by name Collabra, right? So what we can do is use the same key pair or create a new key pair. I can do either of them, right? But after a time, if you're going to have a key pair for each instance, it's going to get very difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose an existing key pair, and we're going to use Collabra, right? So I know that I have this key pair, so I'll have to check this button, right? It says I acknowledge that I have access to the selected private key file, and that without this file I won't be able to log in into my instance, especially for the Linux instances, right? Even for the Windows instances, if you want to get the root password for the first time, you need to have the key, right? So we use the key to decrypt the root password. Especially for Linux instances, you need the key to be always be there to connect to your Linux instance, okay? At least for the Windows instance, what you can do is you can get the key, you can decrypt the root password, you can log into your Windows server, then change the Windows server password. Then you no longer need the key. But for Linux instance, as long as you're going to use that Linux server, you will need the key, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on launch instance. Now I click on my EC2. If I click on this running instances, remember guys, in number of instances I have specified 2, so it is creating 2 servers. It is creating 2 Linux instances. So we are launching 2 instances in one go. So let's wait for this to launch. After this launch, after these instances are launched, we'll try to connect them. And we have this PEM file, right? So normally you connect to your Linux instances using this tool called as PuTTY, right? If you guys don't know about PuTTY, just go to google.com and go for PuTTY, download, right? You'll get to this page. Right, you'll get to this page. From this page, you click on putty.exe, you'll be able to use this, right? So for Linux instances especially, to what we have is this PEM file, right? But this putty needs a file in the format of something called as PPK. What we have is a PEM file, but what we need is a PPK file, right? These are just the types of keys, types of file formats. So what we have is a PEM file format key. So we need to change that PEM file to PPK, right? For that, I have an utility called as puttygen. So I'll have to download this. Click on this. It will download puttygen, right? So open up your puttygen, right? I'll click on this. Run. So it opens like this. Under here, you have to specify where your file is, right? My file is in downloads. All files I have, and I have this file here, right? So what's my file name is Collabora. So I'll have to select this file, right? Now I'm just showing you how to convert the PEM file to a PPK file, right? Now I'm going to click on save private key, click yes, and I'm going to save my file on the desktop. Okay, I'm going to save my file on the desktop. You can save the file with any name, but I'm going to save it with Collabora. Okay, I'm going to save the file with name of Collabora. I'm going to save the file with name of Collabora. Right, now I have this file saved. Right, I have Collabora.ppk file. Now this partition is done. Now I'm done using partition. I've converted this file. Now I no longer need that partition utility. Now I want to connect to this Linux instance. So what I can do is I can take this public IP address here, choose it, copy it, paste it here. Now I'll have to I will have to tell putty as to where my public key file is, right? Where my PPK file is. So I have to come into SSH, then I have to come into auth and browse and select the file that I have, Collabora.ppk. Click on open. To log into a Amazon Linux, the default username is ec2-user. Okay, now what I did is I logged into my Linux instance, right? So today what we have done is we have developed our understanding on EC2 instances. We try to understand the pricing mechanisms. Then we also launched a Windows instance, a Linux instance, and we are also able to connect to our Windows and Linux instances, right? So in the next class, we are going to get in depth into EC2, and we will try to see what all you can do with EC2 instances, right? So any questions, guys, before we call it off for a day? We just have 10 minutes to go. I don't want to keep continuing with this. I have Rupesh. Rupesh, yes. Yeah, Rupesh.
Hello.
Yeah, Rupesh.
After launching the instance, hello.
Yeah,
How
Rupesh.
your free usage timing will be start or not?
After you launch an instance?
After free usage timing, which are given by Amazon, will be start or not?
So whenever you launch an instance, your billing starts.
Okay, and what is the differentiation between termination and shutdown? Suppose if we put it on shutdown.
Alright, the difference is like termination is deleting your virtual machine, right? Shutting down is stopping. So if I go into this instance state and if I stop it, right, and just stopping it. So whenever I need it, I can restart it. It is like your you power off your machine, right? You power off your laptop. See, it is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
powering off laptop is shutting down. Throwing away your laptop is termination.
Yeah, I got it, but actually I wanted to ask you that if we put it on shutdown, then till we are in pipeline of timing or not?
As soon as you stop your machine, your billing stops.
Okay,
Okay. Billing
fine.
is only for the amount of hours that you run a machine.
Okay. In
Okay.
running state only.
Yes.
Oh,
And I advise you guys to stop your machines as soon as you're done using it. That will
and
help you save pricing. Otherwise, if you have a machine just running like that, Amazon is going to keep counting the hours, and then you're going to get a bill for those hours. Okay.
okay. Thank you.
So I'm going to stop this instance also because I'm not going to use these instances. So I'm going to stop this instance so that I'll save on the bill. Any other questions, guys? Anybody else? I have unmuted all. If anybody has any questions, they can ask me now.
How was your class?
Anybody has any questions before we call it for the day?
Is there any kind of notification we can get from Amazon that your free usage has been expired or something like this?
Uh, we will talk about it. You can set billing alarms.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it. When we get to CloudWatch, we're going to talk about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys. If you guys don't have any other questions, so we'll call it out. We'll call it a day. And if you have any questions during the week, you can email me. Right? I gave my email ID yesterday. You guys should have my email ID. If you guys have my email ID, please email me. All right. Otherwise, if
Yeah.
you still have any questions, you can get back to Collabora. All right, guys. I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.
Bye.